Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I will be showing one of my older Minecraft vlogs. This one's a lot more like recent than the other ones, but I've got a few I'll show. I'll probably do them in different videos as time goes on. I actually thought I deleted this world, but I hadn't. So yeah, I've got some pictures as well. I'll probably show as time goes on of different stages of different things. I've really only played this world for like it was under a month, probably around 3 weeks. I think I was playing a lot of games in general at the time because I've got a book in my inner chest and I played this world on the 4th of May. It said that's when I started it, and there's a lot of events which remind me of different things. But this would have been like prime quarantine, like the first quarantine, and no one knew how long COVID was going to be, and there was literally nothing you could do outside. A lot of the main shops were closed, so I probably just played a lot of games at the time, and I was doing odd jobs because the weather was good and it was the summer and stuff. So I'll talk a little bit about that. There's less stuff to talk about in general in this world, and I did do a lot in this world in a short period of time, considering it's like all solo just about. And this was when Bedrock version first came to console. I always thought Bedrock was like a scuff version of Minecraft in comparison to Java or the old Legacy edition. But I guess you just get used to things. But there was so much new stuff added to the game at the time that it was exciting. There was a lot of new things, and I would say the general quality of life of Minecraft was increased, and it made Minecraft easier as a game. So take that as you will, at the time with the way how the changes were. But just seeing the way how the game functioned in Bedrock, I always thought it looked like more of a scuff version. I've got a lot of pictures I'll probably show as I go through. I've got a lot on my hard drive of different times in the world and doing different things. Um, yeah, so I'll probably just go through that. Um, if this reminds you of anything, it's from the old tutorial worlds of Minecraft. I played the first few ones, and although I watched people play the game, seeing what they built in the tutorial world gives you kind of an idea of what you could do with your world. And they always had a big sign like this. So yeah, I built one of these on PS4. They had, oh no, PS3. The tutorial worlds they were blue, but they changed them. They made them look different. There was different variations, but I remember the old one looking like that. And yeah, I always made them big sugarcane things, and then my simple wool cow farm. I'll just show you different things and talk about them and try to show images. This is like a basic branch mine system. It's weird because I do these projects, and at the time I always listened to podcasts. I used to listen to a lot more podcasts than I do now. I still listen to a fair amount, but there were probably more informative ones I used to listen to, and I didn't really read as much back then. I read a lot more these days, but um, yeah, I when I look at things like this, it reminds me of my day, what I was doing at the time, and also maybe what I was listening to. And when I go through tunnels on some of my older worlds, I just remember mining them out. I've got pictures of me just mining massive long tunnels, and like just seeing them alone reminds me of different stuff. And it's the same thing here. I mind at the time I was working. There was a boy. He lives next to a farm. I had problems with weeds. I says to him I dig a trench by his fence to go into the field and that stop all the weeds coming over because they come right through and they're a hassle. So I dug like a 2 foot wide, 1 foot deep trench with cement blocks and then put felt with it with stains. And there was a boy doing some project where he was doing something with a bunch of stones, but he only used a very small amount, and there's a massive, massive bag that would have cost like I don't know a fair amount, but he never used them. So I was like, I'll just use all these while they're here, and I must have shoveled stones back and forth for like 4 hours, and it was very hot that day. And I mind finishing this the end of that day, and yeah, it's just odd how you remember things. I didn't have. I think I had in the book that I have of this world. It said that I had lag and I had problems connecting to friends. Maybe on Minecraft or Siege. I'm not sure, but I must have had some internet problems or something. And Minecraft was like a time machine in that regard. If I couldn't play online or that, I'd just play a lot of Minecraft. So yeah, that's that. This is just a Minecraft. I mean, that's just a redstone thing to send the minecart back down. And I think this is also when Black Concrete was first added. Black Concrete is like a, um, it doesn't have any depth to it, so it's really nice to build with. And I remember seeing builds similar back in the day, but obviously wool and obsidian don't not do the same job as as the black concrete. So it's an inverted pyramid, but you wouldn't be able to tell, you know what I mean? And it looks nice. And then obviously a full beacon. And the little book it says I defeated the wither on the fourth day, and I had 6 full beacons and spawned by the seventh day. Yeah, initially I had difficulty getting the ender pearl, so I went and traveled to a village and stuff. I remember going with my horse all the way over here to try farm ender pearls at night, and I made a wee bridge for my horse, but I couldn't find any ender pearls, so I had to go to a village I could find and trade the struggles of spawns. Still pretty poor to be honest, and it's what probably made speedrunning on console quite difficult. This is just the basic thing. It's a nice wee tunnel, but yeah, it's easier for me to fly because I'm lazy. This is just my wee base. I was gonna move somewhere probably, and this was a base I was gonna make, but I never got around to it. And the version of this world I have is a copy of the world. So, and I definitely notice it when I go in the Nether, but there's certain things that I definitely recall doing that aren't there. So it's maybe like a week setback or something, I'm not sure. This is just easy to avoid mobs from coming into your base. As long as I light up above me, mobs view this as a gap, an air gap, and not the carpet. They don't see the carpet. They're pathfinding, so they simply wouldn't even try to cross this in the first place, and that way I wouldn't need to deal with them. You know what I mean? This is a simple basalt farm. They used to be able to mine basalt even quicker if you put them in the nether, and they used to have a lower hardness. So yeah, I just created this. I really scuffed Hopper setup. This was when basalt and all that was new to the game, and honey blocks and all that. So yeah, the old mineral drop rate, you're never able to get that amount of coal these days. It's absurd, and I must have went to a lot of ocean monuments. Or there's ocean monuments that I think it's actually bugged these days, and you can go into an ocean monument and sometimes never find a spongium. There's 1 to 4 spongiums in each monument, but I think there used to be more spongiums, and this is what I was talking about with like quality of life with the game. Like I think it was just generally easier to farm things, and Bedrock definitely made the game easier, no doubt. It made farms more viable and XP less of a difficult thing to get. In Old Legacy Edition, even in a stacked world, it was difficult to come by basic things, or I guess maintain things. This is a scuffed bee farm. There was always a lot of hassle with balls, so I used a bunch of glass, I guess. Um, yeah, I designed this myself, probably not the wisest design, but that's when bees were new, and I made a wee tank above it. I have some pictures of this. It's not bad. I think I was gonna put a guardian in here with a nether pole, but I never got around to it. I think that goes to a big mine where I fought a bunch of withers. Not the mine that I already showed you. And this was NASA's villagers. I never bothered with villagers, and they were insanely OP when Bedrock first released, even better than they were back in Legacy Edition, as they added zombie queuing, so you could reduce any trade down to 1 emerald, and they would last longer that period of time, and they gave villagers a workstation. So they changed the way how iron farms worked and other various things, but in turn made villagers OP, and I literally never bothered with them until NASA joined the world, like about a week before I stopped playing it, I guess. This was my bee breeding area. My simple sugarcane farm I always made, and I've the villages are so much hassle to move and all that. I never really decorated this place. I realised from Bedrock Edition and when I played this world that it was so much easier to just put all the villagers into the Nether. So in any of my worlds I played from this point onwards, I would just put them into the Nether in their own pod, I guess. There is some stuff I'll forget and miss in this world, no doubt. Um, but a lot of like this world solo, like I was learning new things with the new mechanics and all that. I didn't really worry about the aesthetics a whole lot. I prioritized like just farms early game anyway and stuff like that, you know. But we'll see. The Nether was always a mess. I goes to my gold farm, not gold, iron farm. I made a double iron farm. They changed the mechanics of them. I would say the older farms were, the older farms used doors. I'll show you that in another world tour, and I'll talk more about it. One of my older versions. But I would say iron farms became easier to make. That's just a tunnel of ice and sand. And I made a garden farm years and years ago on PS3, and it was like PC where you had to clear out the entire area around the Garden Ocean Monument and drain it, and then do what you can then. But garden farms became insanely OP, and they were easier to make, you know. So I made one far, far away. They wouldn't work now because they keep changing the mechanics of them. I think they don't want insanely OP farms, but at the same time, like stuff like Trident colors is what makes Bedrock Edition easier to play these days. And ever since they had a Bedrock, that type of stuff has existed. And they want to try and nerf them, but they don't know whether to go away about doing it. But there's so much people that rely on farms that these days that when they change any of them, it upsets the community. For me, farms are as efficiency as clever laziness, and it makes your life easier, but there needs to be a way to farm or obtain the resources from a guardian with relative ease, but to give you the insane amount of XP it does, you know, it could easily be nerfed. I wouldn't see a problem with that, you know what I mean? So I don't know. And it's like the roof of the Nether. I think I checked out in the world first, when I first made the world, if you could go on the roof and if you could actually build, because you've always been able to go on the roof on the Legacy Edition and the Bedrock Edition, but you could never do anything or build up there, you know. You could only just go up there. So it was redundant. But on PC version, they've always had the ability to do it, and they've always made gold farms from it. And the best way of getting XP for the longest time on PC was making a gold farm on the roof. And if they were to just remove that, then a lot of people would be upset on PC, you know what I mean? That's just a basic skeleton farm. I'll have a drink of my water. I'll tell you, the magma cubes are crazy. This is my slime farm. It's in the desert. I built it in the desert, so I need to make iron golems in the side and not snow golems. Ideally, snow golems are a better way to do it, but I never even implemented them. If you add them to the sides, it makes the slimes run off to the edge. They're the dumbest mobs in the game, so they don't think about what's in front of them, and they're easy to farm in that aspect. I already had some beacons at the time I made this, but I generally don't think I set up a beacon. I'm not sure. I've got some pictures of me mining this out, but I just remember spending ages doing it. Um, yeah, it was not as efficient as it could be, but I got some from it, so yeah, it was fine. And also, it's nice to set up type of projects like these where you need to do a bunch of mining for something, because reality is you usually need a bunch of, sometimes you need a bunch of cobblestone or stone to do something. There's probably some project along the line where you want to do a lot of something, you know, and it's nice to have all in blocks. So whether it's creating a big massive mob spawner, like mob grinder, you know, or something like that, to have a project where you need to mine a lot isn't bad. That's kind of the way I look at it. It's not bad to start one of them projects. This is a creeper farm, I believe. That's just when they changed the mechanics so you could spawn strictly creepers with trapdoors. Before you could manipulate mob grinders with like buttons, so you would only get spider spawns and stuff, but you'd still get, so you wouldn't get spider spawns, but you'd still get like skeletons and zombies. And that's why I have a little nether portal that goes to a skeleton farm, because I never made a generic mob farm. It was just creepers, and then the bones were nice for farming and stuff. This goes to a jungle, but You should never build diagonal tunnels. I learned that doing this the hard way. And yeah, you always hit your boat off the side. You needed to keep expanding it, going wider and wider. I shown you the pod under another of the villager bit. That's definitely the best way to deal with them is put them in another in their own area. But this is NASA's laboratory. When I first loaded up this world and came over here, there were some items on the floor. So there's a possibility that NASA died. I'm not sure. I haven't played this one in ages as stated. So yeah, it's a good chance. When they first added when they first added the villager changes, they added this queuing thing. So yeah, they make any trade only cost 1 emerald. It made it completely busted, and this is how scuff trading set up. But we were just messing around with it to see what it's like, you know. But it was crazy. You've got unbreaking mend and everything here you need, only for 48 emeralds. Yeah, busted. I think. Don't know what else to show. I I did. I went to like the end a lot because end cities were new at the time, and I've got like a bunch of elytras and like 3 stacks of shulker shells, more than I'll ever need, you know. Um, so I did a lot of grindy stuff like that. Over here's a gold farm. I made one of these after I made the iron farm in that because the only ideal way of making the farm was using flint and steels. It's essentially a zero tick farm, which have always existed in Minecraft, but they've always been very buggy, still are, um, but they became more possible just due to the changes, you know, with the spawns and everything. You could make these back in the day, but you could never spam the portals to relight them, which makes the game have a higher chance of like spawning the mobs, you know what I mean? So, I did have one of these in one of my PSD worlds, but they were just a bunch of lit portals, and occasional pigmen would spawn in them. But there's more efficient designs and things I was unaware of at the time that you constantly light the portal, and the only thing that makes the farm run is you have a clock going into the dispenser, which dispenses the water. If you have the fire resistant wood with a trapdoor and a lava next to it, you can essentially light the portal from that alone, and then you just need to use water. But this uses flint and steel, so I'm essentially trading iron for gold, if that makes so much sense. And the only reason why that was even good in the first place was for pigmen. No, piglins, which were very, very good when they were first added. The bartering systems you could make were pretty OP, to be honest. And yeah, um, if you filled up all these dispensers with flint and steel, then you'd get a stack of pigmen, but obviously nothing at the moment. But they're really busted this, no doubt. And if you make the designs where you don't need to use flint and steel and instead just lava, then it's crazy the amount of gold you get. It's probably equivalent to an iron farm in terms of minerals, you know. I didn't do any with this area, but yeah, it's scuffed. This was the, yeah, where I'd put the zombies up and down. I'll show you another kind of xerotic farm I used, a sugarcane one. I made, it doesn't work now, but I used to get like a double chest of full of sugarcane in like under a minute. I still have one of these in my most recent realms that I use, just a different design, but they're purely busted, you know. Usually they need like maintenance to make them run, but obviously it doesn't work at the moment, but you would get an absurd amount of they don't really make much sense from a like redstone perspective, you know. And I don't know why I use blue torches, I guess. Why not? Was the mentality. But yeah, that's really it. I don't have much else to show in this world. There is like tunnels that go far away and stuff, but not too interesting. I have other worlds which I can talk on for a lot longer, and there's more to show, I reckon. So I'll probably go into doing these or them. When I import the images, it takes a lot of time and I can't import a lot of images at once, so I need to do like several versions of the same video, and then to just render the video takes a lot of time, you know, depending on its length, of course. and all that jazz. But yeah, that's really it. Hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.